Yes, you're watching TV47 Weekend Edition. It's time for To The Point. And remember, as I mentioned earlier, this is the last show of the year. And what better way to wrap up the show than to talk matters food and healthy eating. Now, our guests are already in studio tonight. Just right next to me is Stephen Sewe. He's a consultant, clinical dietitian. Karibu sana, how are you?
Fine.
You're well?
Yes, I am.
All right. And also we have Lillian Momina. I hope I'm not butchering your name.
No.
Right. Lillian is the treasurer of the Kenya Union of Nutritionists and Dietitians. Karibu sana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Asante sana.
Right.
Yes.
Now, let's just start with the basics, Stephen. The festive season comes with overindulgence, of course. Now, why is it important to ensure that we embrace healthy eating, especially during this time? Stephen?
Well, you know, the festivities, there's a lot of endless parties involved, big feasts. Probably you have friends you haven't met in a long time over the year. You've just met. So there is that one meal you want to do that probably you had promised to engage in. So a lot of people get involved in over drinking, overeating, and at the end of the day, they backfire. In January, there are a lot of hospital admissions because of indigestions. Some people start to develop some, like for example, patients with underlying conditions such as diabetes. They develop lack of sugar control, and that poses a risk actually to those individuals. Yeah.
All right.
So it is actually good to practice mindful eating. Nutrition is key. Optimal nutrition is key to as a focus to individuals in families, even for children. Because right now, if you go to the supermarkets, everybody's shopping for the ice creams, all of these junk foods. And when children eat ice cream and junk foods all the time, they don't have time to eat healthy meals. And these can grow into a habit over time. And these could possibly lead to complications like diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and other heart-related conditions. So mindful eating is essential in this part. However much you want to enjoy the festivities, we have to have control. Control is key. We are not talking about restriction or depriving yourself of the fun. Even if you're taking the alcohol, we do it in moderation, not just overdoing it, because alcohol also overdoing it could also cause you indigestion.
We'll come to portions. We're coming to portions now that we need to take. But Lillian, Stephen has mentioned something about those with underlying conditions, hypertension and diabetes. Now, how do they navigate the festive table and still enjoy the festive season?
Now, if you have any chronic illness, like let's say diabetes or hypertension, you need first to understand that the festivities is coming and going, and your condition is still there. So you have to approach it. You have to approach it with like a mindset of, I'm going to enjoy the holidays, but I need to be very cautious and very aware of what is actually what I'm actually dealing with. So for someone with diabetes, of course, it might be very challenging to enjoy the festivities because, you know, in Kenya, the food is the center of all our occasions, of all our celebrations. So for someone with diabetes, you can optimally, you can choose to have like more veggies in your plates. You can choose to have less processed foods. Like if people are having mandazi, you can select ndoma, because again, you cannot tell, we cannot tell you to stop enjoying the holiday, and it's Christmas, you know. So even while you're doing it, as Stephen has said, you need to be very mindful and alert and aware of the condition that you have, because you don't want again to overspike your blood sugars. You don't want to have issues with blood pressure regulations. You want to make sure that yes, you're enjoying the holiday, but you're doing it mindfully, and also continue taking medications. You know, sometimes people can overindulge in things like alcohol, and they forget that they are managing conditions. This is the time for you to ensure that you are being very practical in what you're eating. I know sometimes it might appear like we are restricting you because we don't want you to enjoy the holidays, and we say that you only live once. But again, you want to live once and live long enough to enjoy the life. You don't want to live long and have complications of diabetes or the uncontrolled blood pressure. So be mindful of your plate. I always insist that when you go to those setups where people are enjoying or having those dinners or having those galas, select a lesser size of a plate, because nowadays I was in an event the other day and I was very impressed. They have the bigger size of plate and they have the moderate and the smaller portion and a smaller size. So if you're diabetic, you can pick a smaller size of plate, and then you be selective in the types of foods that you're going to have them in your plate. Yeah.
Now that you're talking about overindulgence, or rather just indulgence, we have chapati, we have nyama choma, we have desserts, we have pilau. It's that season.
Yeah.
Now, how do we strike a balance, Lillian?
Now, striking a balance, you see, now you see pilau, chapati, it's that season. They are basically carbohydrates. So if you're diabetic, this is basically for someone who's there. If you're not diabetic, you can actually afford to have your pilau, your chapati, your mokimo all in the same plate and still have like your portion of vegetables and proteins in the same plate cautiously. But if you're diabetic, it is wise for you to try as much as you can. If you're having that pilau, if you can, have it like the unprocessed or the whole grain, the brown pilau. You know, someone might say that does not taste like the actual
it's not
pilau.
Sweet.
Yeah, even the brown chapati. But again, you can also make them a bit healthier by adding things like carrots to the white chapati. You can add things like butternut to increase the fiber content, and it will reduce the quantities that you're going to have to eat. Again, I always insist that when you're having your meals, one of the practices of mindful eating is basically listening to your cues. Understand how your body receives the food. Your body will tell you when it's full, your body will tell you when it's hungry. Sometimes we tend to eat when you're supposed to be drinking, things like water, when you're supposed to be hydrating. So before you eat, make sure that you're hydrated, to make sure that your cues align with what your body needs. And then you listen to them, and we avoid as much as we can to go for round 2. Because sometimes the excitement of Christmas, you can be in an event with foods that you have not seen in a while, like a lot of nyama choma, a lot of different meats, and then it excites you. And it's normal for a human being, when the adrenaline is high, for you to want to consume more. So before you go for a second portion, if you know you're trying to manage something, and again you want to start the year off well, it is wise that you try to at least wait for like 20 minutes so that you can give your body time to process what has happened. And then when that happens, then you can, if you're still hungry after the 20 minutes, you've taken your glass of water, then you can go for a second round. If not,
you're good.
Yeah.
But Stephen, you know, drinking water before you take your meal, sometimes it makes you so full. You don't even enjoy that meal in itself. So hiyo inasaidiaje? Sababu I want to enjoy my food, but I've taken water and I won't be able to eat as much as I would want to.
Well, you know, water shouldn't be taken, I mean, like too much water shouldn't be taken with food. If you, like Lina has said, you need to listen to your hunger cues. Sometimes it's thirst that you have and you think it's hunger. So you see, much water, if I would say a glass, you'd probably take it 15 to 30 minutes before your meal, okay? By that time, the body would have utilized that water, okay? But in between meals, or rather with meals, you'd have a sip of water maybe to just clear your throat and also help in digestion. But the problem is that people either overdo it or they underdo it. It is important to keep up that balance. Yeah.
And then maybe to add, you see, when it comes to water intake, most of us usually we are actually dehydrated. We don't take enough water. If I may pose a question, how many glasses of water have you taken today?
Today? Like 3.
You see.
That's too little?
But, no, but again, your body is not so much, so you might not need so much.
How many glasses should I take, Lillian?
That will depend on several factors. It will depend on the energy that you've taken, like how many calories you've taken, your activity levels. And again, you're talking, you need to like...
Yes, hydrate.
Throat, So you might actually... The blanket that we usually do for the population is basically between 8 to 12 glasses of water. But again, that is for someone who's standard, like the standard healthy person. So for water intake is so individual that I might need to take 6, he might need to take 12. It's that specific. Because you see, we are doing different activities. I've eaten the different types of meals. The combination, I might have taken a lot of protein, he might have taken a lot of fat, and they need little or more water to digest compared to the others. So all these factors affect water intake. But you see, if in these festivities, one of the things people do most is people avoid hydration because, again, they want to enjoy the festivities, so they are taking up things like a lot of alcohol, they're taking up a lot of processed and refined food, there's a lot of sugar intake, and all this increase the dehydration levels in your tummy.
Just hold on to that point. Now, Stephen, we are talking about the usual culprits. You've talked about nyama choma, pilau, but alcohol,
Yes.
we can't ignore the fact that it will be there in these festivities. Now, how do we handle it in a manner that we are not putting our health at risk?
Well, there is a recommended amount of alcohol intake in moderation.
Alcohol is just risk in general.
It is a risk, but you see, because it has been, in research, it is that if you restrict people too much, you corner them, that's now when they make the mistakes. You know, it's like a child, you tell them, you don't eat ice cream. When they go to school, they want to try, how does it taste? Why does mom say I can't eat ice cream? Okay? Now, if you restrict people that now don't, but you don't give them these alternatives, they will side on the side of the wrong. So basically, that's why we talk about moderation. So it is said that 2 glasses a day, that should be it for the day, for men and for the females.
Lillian, do you
a glass.
agree?
So basically, you know, alcohol. You know, one of the things that, however much, we are in a merry period, and it's okay. We need to enjoy the festivities. Probably you've had a rough year, and this is the time that you are free from work, meeting friends. You're not in a hurry to go somewhere, so you've got the time. You have traveled up country. You remain in the city. That's okay. But the question is, if you overindulge in alcohol, as she has said, dehydration. You see, water is the simplest, most, it is the simplest component because it is mostly free. I mean, if you ask water from somebody, who can say no to that? So water, it also helps your body get rid of these toxins. In Christmas, as people overindulge in alcohol, in eating a lot of junk foods, there is a mechanism that the body needs to excrete all these waste products. Some of them are taken out through sweat, and sweat is made from water. So if you are dehydrated with alcohol, where do you get the sweat? You need to make enough urine so that you can remove the water-soluble toxins from the body. You need to have good stools so that you can get rid of other components of the toxin. So basically, that balance is key, because if it's not kept, in the long run, you will have complications. And in my experience, it is never worth it. When you're in the hospital bed suffering illness after over alcohol consumption, when liver cirrhosis sets in or alcoholic-related fatty liver disease, you're on your own. Even your friends who you were at with the events, the party, laughing all loud, the pain is yours.
You're one-man person.
Yes, so you should remember that at the end of the day, then January is still coming. It's not the end of the day. December, it's just a 1-week festivities.
All right. Now, Lillian, he has mentioned something quite interesting to me, that 2 glasses of alcohol per day. Now, imagine taking 2 glasses of alcohol every day for 30 days, the number of days in a month. Is that really safe?
Actually, alcohol was recently classified as a toxin. So the recommendation that WHO used to have of taking 2 glasses was scrapped off. Because your body does not have the capacity to metabolize that toxins. So when you're taking it, even the 2 glasses per day, you're building up on toxins and you risk getting all the conditions that he has talked about. However, we need to be realistic. Those are guidelines, and they are very good because they are backed up by data and evidence. But again, you see, Kenyans have this tendency of drinking during December. So what we can do is we can actually try and make sure that they are doing it safer. Encourage people to take things like lemon water in the morning to aid the liver in removing these toxins from your body. And then again, when you're selecting your drink, select the lesser concentration. Like if you're doing a beer, do like the 4% or the 4.5. Avoid the 7, the 8, or the 10. And if you're doing the ciders or the sugary drinks or the cocktails, you can also avoid as much as you can the sugary ones that have added caramel, all these honey or these sweeteners that they add to those drinks to make them very, very enticing for the ladies. So, but ideally, alcohol is a toxin. So if you can avoid it, that will be great. But if you can't, please try as much as you can to support your body by supplying it with anti-inflammatory like foods like lemons, fruits and vegetables, taking up enough water, trying to walk so that you can sweat out, and ensure that your digestion is working well so that you can remove all that from your system, because the buildup has been shown to cause chronic diseases that are kind of fatal, that are actually fatal. So there's no safe limit,
Right, awesome. Now, it's important that we also embrace diversity. We have this group, vegetarians or plant-based eaters. We also have kids, all right? Now, let me start with these vegetarians. Are they the safer group of people? Because now they only indulge in, they're vegetarians, they don't eat meat, dairy. Are they safe, Stephen? Or how do they strike a balance to also ensure that there's variety for them and there's also better portions for them?
Well, mostly the difference is in the proteins. There are the plant proteins, and then there are the animal proteins. The quality of the proteins differ from the plant and animal proteins. Sometimes in the same quantity, they might have the same amount of proteins if you do an analysis, but then the quality of proteins, something we call bioavailability, how much of that protein the body will be able to absorb. It's more bioavailable in animal proteins than plant proteins. But it doesn't mean that they are all useful. So basically, as long as you have said, they practice variety. Even for the plant proteins, there are a lot of varieties. You can have lentils, you can have green grams, you could have various varieties of beans, okay? Because definitely, however much lentils all belong in one group, they don't all have the same nutrition content. They differ in somewhat way. So basically, the best way, practice variety. Today, if you take these, today you take beans, tomorrow you take lentils, the other day you take green peas, the other day you could take green grams. In that manner, you maximize from the difference in the nutrient content. And also, there are live bacteria in the gut. They're called probiotics. They help you in digestion and protecting your gut from the harmful bacteria. And they feed on the fiber. This fiber, there are different types of fiber, and they also differ in the different types of this plant protein. So the more the variety, the more you are able to proliferate the different kinds of bacteria that will help protect your body from immunity. Even as this festive season, we need to really empower our body to increase digestion. Those bacteria really play a great role in digestion. So the animal proteins are also good. They have high quality proteins, but you need to be very careful on the type of meats you take. There is a grass-fed meat and grain-fed meat. That is something that people really don't get, because however much you love meat, if you take a grain-fed meat, meat is only as good as how it was, if a cow is only as good as the environment it was brought up from. The free-range cow which eats grass, that's a good meat, a very good protein quality. The one that has been fed soy and corn, they contain more of omega-6, and this increases inflammation, okay? The grass-fed meats, they actually have more antioxidants, so they will also help you to reduce the toxins in your body. So even the chicken, the free-range chicken, that's the best.
Interesting. It's interesting to know that we have soy-fed cows and also grass-fed cows. It's interesting. But time is not on our side. I'm being told that time is really, really running. But how about the parents? How do they ensure that now the kids are also healthy eating, embracing healthy eating, now that these are tiny humans who love larger portions, the kids are home, the schools have closed. How do they ensure that they are healthy eating?
The first thing is ensuring that availability of the healthier foods are at home. Unfortunately, if you go to these groups, like you'll find parents sharing what they are shopping for Christmas and holiday, and you'll find that the shopping consists like 60 to 70% junk. These are the snacks that the babies are going to be getting. Of course, as you have said, the babies want to be eating like all the time because they're at home. They're playing 2 hours, coming back to have a snack, 2 hours, they're coming back to have a snack. So if the healthy snack is not available when they're coming back, they risk going to have all these unhealthy things. Another thing is on the preparation. You see, parents should actually encourage intake of healthier foods by preparing and making them interesting. You see, unfortunately, we have glorified things like fries or things like maybe fried foods because when we serve them with sauce, we serve them with like colorful things, so the babies are more likely to want to eat them. Then you serve them ugali, plain ugali, and
blue band on the side.
Skuma. And you leave them like that. Of course, the baby will not like it. She'll take like a two bites and then she'll leave it. So whatever you're preparing, make sure that it's interesting first visually, because we are creatures of visuals. Like we see first, we eat with our eyes before we can eat with our mouth and our stomach. And babies are actually better at it, because what if they don't find something interesting, they might not even want to put it in their mouth. They'll start resisting that particular food. And you risk losing that child to unhealthy eating habits even in the future, because they'll have that perception that this type of food is yuckish and I should not be eating it. So availability is the most important thing, and how you're preparing and serving it. And of course, we need to culture a habit or a relationship with food. Let your kids see you eating those healthy foods. Don't cook for the babies like the chapati, or you cook for them the githeri and then you're eating fries. You know, there are parents who do that. It's quite unfortunate because they learn by watching what you're doing. So if you're eating the healthier foods, your baby are more likely to eat your healthier foods. Have fruits, let them see you having the fruit, and then make it like a family time to do that.
All right, Lillian, now as we wind up, of course, from the union's perspective, are Kenyans really well-versed with the importance of nutrition and why it's important, especially during the festive season?
There's a lot of gap because, again, Kenyans, let me just take you back to social media. You go to Facebook, and then there's a group for maybe foods and stuff. And then the poster will start by disclaimer and saying, nutritionist keep off, because they want they want to normalize unhealthy eating habits. So Kenyans have that negativity when it comes to behavior change, when it comes in line to food. There's a lot of gap that needs to be bridged between us, the dietitians, and the masses, that is Kenyans. Because there's a percentage that actually understand what is supposed to be done, and then there are others who are actually going with the flow. What is popular is what goes. So if I come to you today and I say, let's say, I don't want to mention a brand, let's say this particular juice or this particular drink is good, then their parents will actually go with that flow, and they'll start feeding their babies with that. They'll start packing that as snack. So we need to change that perspective a lot, because nutrition, if it's not gotten right at the population, we are going to have more. And you see the burden, and you have seen the confusion that is coming up with the social insurance and such. So if we don't get it right from the community and the preventive and the population level, we're going to have a lot of complications at the clinical setup. So we have to get it right from there.
Awesome. Stephen, now how do we set the tone for healthier eating moving forward? What next after Christmas?
Well, it is important to get back to regular routine as quick as you can, because without that, the habit you developed during the Christmas festive season could become routine for you. It could grow into a habit. You know, if definitely, probably there's a lot of overbuying of foods right now. And most of those foods won't be out by the end of the festive season. So we'll have a lot of stale foods that remain after the festive season, the extra foods, and now you will compensate by trying to eat much so that you can finish that stock. Now that is the problem. So it is best to organize yourself early enough so that you don't do the last minute rush where you have to buy fast food so that you compensate because of lack of time. It is good to organize yourself, be in a group where people perform different functions, so that by come January, you can easily transit to regular schedule.
All right, thank you so much, Lillian and Stephen, for the insightful and practical discussion on how to embrace healthy eating during this festive season. From our team here To The Point, we hope that you've gotten a little bit of tips to ensure that you are mindful eating during this festive season. From us here, the team To The Point, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. Have a wonderful night. My name is Anne Odida, and on the sign language interpretation desk is Catherine Simalui. Have a good night and see you next time, inshallah.